Hello. UFC Qatar just ended a few hours ago. I'm going to give a run through of the entire card, give matchups, and just overall give my feelings towards all the fights. Let's get into it. The first fight on the card was Denzel Freeman defeating Marek Bujło by decision. Honestly, I don't really have a lot of thoughts for the specific matchup. It was very much just like it really just felt like a sparring match, if anything. Like, it was just, it really just felt like a sparring match, but a professional sparring match. I don't know. It was just like, it was a very weird fight. It was, both fighters looked pretty solid in their debuts, though. Denzel Freeman looked better because he looked like he was able to evolve throughout the fight. Marek Bujło just kind of, for the most part, was just overall spamming like a body kick and then a straight. That's for the most part, that's just what he was doing. And then Denzel Freeman was like, "Oh, he's just doing this nonstop. Let me counter it," and it worked. I think there was one takedown in the entire fight, and it was from Bujło. It was solid. Overall, it was just like a kind of a stand-in swing fest, really, for the most part. And it was just like a very alright fight. Denzel Freeman looks like he could be solid in the future. Bujło, he looked alright, nothing crazy, but they both looked alright either way. I want to see Denzel Freeman face off in his next fight against maybe Josh Hokett. Just because, both American, both got some bit of a personality to them. And Hokett would talk a lot of trash, which would be very entertaining. On the other hand, I want Marek Bujło to face Alicia Ellison, who got smoked out by Perez in Perth. I think that would be a very fun fight. And, overall, it was an alright fight, nothing crazy, but a good start to the card. The second fight on the card was Nurullo Aliev beating Shakim Shamrock by decision. Very tough opponent for your debut. Unfortunately, Shamrock could not get it done. Aliev just started off really hot. He was landing crazy shots that I think would have knocked out most people. But, like they say, Scousers don't get knocked out. And Shamrock showed that he was eating shots like crazy. And, he couldn't get put out in the first two rounds. It was very dominant from Aliev. He just kept throwing left hands, and Shem was eating them. Don't know how he didn't realize that throughout the fight when he was just getting pummeled by them, but, who am I to judge, I guess? The first two rounds were very dominantly Aliev. It was just 10-9 rounds, but it was still clearly him. The final round was when Shamrock decided to wake up and actually do something, and that was his best looking round. I personally think he won. I believe the judges, two of the three of them gave him gave Aliev the round. I would disagree, but I'm not going to argue it too badly. Shem lost anyways, so it is what it is. But very tough first opponent. Can't really do too much there, but hopefully Shamrock bounces back in his next fight. I personally will have Nurullo Aliev as he's undefeated. He's 11-0 now, 3-0 in the UFC against solid names from outside the UFC like Shem. I want to see him face another unranked name. I want to see him face the loser of Chris Duncan and Terrence McKinney that's coming up, I believe, on UFC 323 in just a couple of weeks. The winner, they'll be looking for a ranked fight probably. The loser, however, they're going to be looking down the rankings also. I do think Terrence McKinney will be the one to lose, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I want to see Aliev versus the loser of that fight. On the other hand, I want to see Shamrock face a more winnable opponent, or hopefully a more winnable opponent. I want to see him face Charlie Campbell, who was on UFC Perth, and he lost to Tom Nolan. He's another solid fighter, but like a much more winnable name for Shem. And very good fight though, very entertaining. Crazy shots that Shem was just eating. If he can continue that, he might got a future of just, eating shots like crazy. New Marlon Vera dropped. Next up was Ismail Naurdiev sliming Ryan Loder. That was one of the craziest knockouts I've seen. It wasn't even like a crazy knockout, it was just like an overhand, but the way Ryan Loder fell, he's going to be out for a while, I think. I hope he's out for a while because, oh my god, that was ridiculous. Very quick knockout. It was like a minute and a half or so in the first. Very good. Very good. I don't even have much to say about it because it was just like so quick, but yeah, I don't really have much to say about it. It was just very quick and very good from Naurdiev. I want to see Naurdiev fight a vet, probably. Like another vet, like an established name. I want to see him face Edmund Shabazian. I think that'd be a very entertaining fight, personally. While Ryan Loder, he has to just fight another guy who's there, but not great, really. I want to see him face Dusko Todorovic, because it's a winnable fight, but it's also winnable for Todorovic, which I like to see. You know, I like to see a competition, and I think, you know, Todorovic lost not too long ago as well, so just have them sit out for a while, have this fight in, like, April. I think April's fine. Yeah, have it in, like, April. Ryan Loder faces Todorovic. I think it'll be very fun. Overall, great fucking knockout, though. Next up, we had a really, really good fight. We had Alexandre Topuria beating Bekzat Almakhan by decision. This was just a 3-round banger, and honestly, I expected nothing less. Bekzat Almakhan, very good striker. Topuria, I mean, it's in the name. He's a Topuria, you know, he's so good. He's very much like his brother. In a lot of ways, like, they just look similar in their fighting styles. Like, their stance is very boxing heavy, very technical. Not a lot of power, like, not a power puncher, but he doesn't throw the overhands. He just throws a jab, and it's a monster. Like, he just is so strong, just like his brother. And I see a good future with this guy. I mean, once again, look at his brother. I mean, you know. But, yeah, no, the first round, I personally think that Bekzat won. And then the second and third rounds, it was a bit of a toss-up. It's a bit of a toss-up. I think the third round went to Alex, and I personally, in my opinion, I'll have to rewatch the fight, but I had Bekzat winning the second, so I think it was a 29-28, in my opinion, for Bekzat. But the judges, they all gave it a unanimous decision for Topuria, which I'm not going to argue, because, you know, I think he arguably won 2 rounds. I'm not mad at it. And also, they want Topuria to win. I mean, come on. It's a Topuria, you know? So, overall, yeah, no, his striking looks great. His grappling, great. And he's just going to be a monster in the future, probably. For their next fights, I want to see Bekzat Almakhan. I want to see him face someone who I was originally having him face off against Topuria, but Topuria won, so I can't do that. They were originally rumored to fight around this time, but I want to see Bekzat Almakhan face Malcolm Wellmaker. Now, you could say maybe these are 2 prospects, don't have them face off against each other because it just kind of derails one. You could, I mean, arguably say Malcolm Wellmaker's already been derailed because of Ethan Ewing, but that's neither here nor there. And I want Bekzat Almakhan. I think it is very winnable for either of them. If Wellmaker is as good as people were hyping him up to be, which I'll admittedly say, I never really agreed with it. I kind of thought he was a bit overrated. Sorry. But yeah, so one of their stocks are going to go way up, one of them are going to go way down. I think it's a very competitive matchup. While, on the other hand, I want Alexandre Topuria. I don't know if he deserves it necessarily, but I think the UFC is definitely going to give him a ranked fight. I think he could really fight any of, like, the bottom 4 in the rankings, like Oliveira, Phillips, McGee. I don't have any of them, though. I'm picking Alexandre Topuria versus Rob Font. I think that is a great fight. 2, you know, striker first fighters. And Font, you know, he can grapple a little bit. Topuria can grapple better, obviously, but, you know, 2 striking heavy guys, and I think that'll be a very fun fight. Topuria gets ranked soon. This will be a very quick one. Abdul-Rakhman Yakhyaev beat Rafael Cerqueira in 33 seconds. This is exactly what I thought was going to happen. Well, not exactly, because I thought it was just going to be a knockout. He almost knocked him out in about 20 seconds, but then Cerqueira was able to grapple a little bit, just for him to get choked out by a rear naked choke. So, yeah, I mean, Cerqueira is very obviously cut from the UFC. He has had 4 fights, and he's lost them all, so he's gone. However, Abdul-Rakhman, I want to see another fight for him. That was his debut. His very, very good debut, of course. But I want to see him face another person before facing any notable names. I want to see him face Julius Walker. I think that would be a very just like, he beat Cerqueira, who horrible. Just face Julius Walker, and if you can dominate him like you beat Cerqueira, all right, now you can get like a, I don't know, Jan Blachowicz. I'm joking. But yeah, Yakhyaev, I want to see against Julius Walker after that. Sliming. Next up, we had the ranked flyweight match against Asu Almabayev and Alex Perez. Almabayev, this was a very shocking match to me because going into it, I was just dissing Alex Perez heavily, saying, this guy sucks, he's inactive, he's kind of mid. Very much proved me wrong, I can't lie. He looked great, honestly. He obviously lost. He lost, but that first round and a half or so, he looked pretty solid. Almabayev was winning for a majority of those first 2 rounds, but it's just like Perez looked better than I was expecting, really. In the 3rd round, Almabayev ended up just getting that flying guillotine, and he looks great. He lost Manel Cape. That's Manel Cape. That's different gravy. But I think Almabayev's getting a shot back up at the rankings. But first of all, I think Alex Perez should. I don't know. He should fight down. I think he should fight maybe like a Tim Elliott, get an absolute unction going down. That'd be a fun fight though. Tim Elliott probably wins that, I would think. But I think it'd be a very fun fight. Alex Perez, he definitely needs to fight down, if not even further down, like maybe like a Ramazan Temirov, just because like Alex Perez is so inactive, but who knows. On the other hand, I want to see Asu Almabayev face the loser of the UFC 323 match of Moreno versus Tatsuro Taira, because I don't think he should face either of the people of the Royval Cape match, because he's already fought Manel Cape and we saw how that happened. I wouldn't love a match between him and Brandon Royval, personally, but I think a match between him and Tatsuro Taira, for example, would be so fun. It would be a very good match. Brandon Moreno, too, would be a very fun match. I think Brandon would win that, but who knows. I want to see Asu versus the loser of this match. It's probably Taira, maybe. I'll get back to you guys in a week or two, but I think it'll probably be, it should be the loser of that matchup. Yeah, but overall, great performance from Asu. Great performance. Up next was an absolutely horrible judges scorecard performance. We had Nicolas Dalby winning a split decision against Saygid Izagakhmaev. Nicolas Dalby, just so you guys know, absolutely should have won, if not 30-27 unanimously. You could say maybe Izagakhmaev won 1 round. I'll give it to you. But one judge gave Izagakhmaev 2 rounds. Maybe I need to rewatch this fight because maybe my eyes were deceiving me. Dalby dominated the first round. There was nothing there. The second round very clearly felt like Dalby to me. The third round, Saygid actually put in a nice, kind of nice performance. But there's no way that he won on one judge's scorecards. It was purely, we're in Qatar, let's give this Russian a win. That was horrible. But either way, the first round, Dalby, he was stalling a little bit. You could call him Nicolas Stalby. Thanks, guys. Thank you. But he looked fine. He didn't look great. He just won the round, But he just fully shut down Saygid Izagakhmaev, and he couldn't really do anything until that third round where he got, some motion, but overall doesn't look great in my opinion. And for both of them, I have them both facing having a bit of a regional matchup. We have Saygid Izagakhmaev. I want to see him face the Ukrainian Daniil Donchenko, who won in his last match. I think that'll be a really fun fight. I think Daniil Donchenko can win that. I hope he wins that match, but who knows? And on the other hand, we got Nicolas Dalby. I want to see him face another, Scandinavian brother, Gunnar Nelson. That'll be a very fun matchup. Surprisingly, they've never fought in their careers, which I would have thought they would have, but I guess they haven't, so that's very interesting. But yeah, Dalby versus Nelson, Izagakhmaev versus Donchenko, and this matchup should have been unanimous decision, but it wasn't. It is what it is. To end the prelims, we had a fight that really was having me stressing, I cannot lie. We had Luke Riley, in his debut, got the win. Thank God. He got the win. It was a second round knockout over Bogdan Grad. And this fight was really stressing me out because Luke Riley is, I'm from Liverpool, right? I got family from out there. But, and I have been watching him in Cage Warriors for years now. I think since 2023, I've been a big fan of his. And I've just been watching him develop. And, Bogdan Grad's no slouch. That being his first matchup, similar to Shamrock, I was like, I'm a little worried for him, as I was for Shem, and especially because Shem lost earlier in the night, I was like, especially a little worried. And to add on to that, fucking Liverpool lost their football match. Like, it couldn't have gotten much worse at that point. And in the first round, it seemed like it was going to continue. Bogdan Grad kind of dominated that first round. No, sorry, he didn't kind of. He dominated that first round, and it was not looking good at all until the second round came around, where Bogdan Grad was starting to get some work off again, but Luke Riley started getting some nice little punches and eventually caught Bogdan, got the finish. Oh my God, yes. It was so relieving. I actually was jumping for joy. My friend who I was watching it with was laughing because I was jumping. I was so relieved. Oh man, this was a great fight though. Bogdan Grad, he's now 1-2 in the UFC, which is one of those records where, the record does not display the fighter because he's much better. He fights like a 3-0 fighter, but he's unfortunately 1-2 because he's faced nice names like Naimov and Luke Riley. I don't think he should get punished too badly for losing. However, I do want him to win a fight, and I want him to smoke somebody. I want him to have like a dominant performance. So I'm having Bogdan Grad face Ramon Taveras, who is somehow still in the UFC. Don't understand how, but he should be facing Ramon Taveras, smoke him, and then move on to the next. Luke Riley, while he won and got a finish, I wasn't entirely impressed, I guess you could say. So I want to see him face another just solid name, not like he's notable-ish, but I want to see him face Do Ho Choi, where that will be a very tough test, but it's a winnable test. So yeah, I want to see Luke Riley face Do Ho Choi next, and hopefully get another W for Liverpool. Let's get it going. Now we are opening up the main card with Kyoji Horiguchi returning to submit Tagir Ulanbekov. If you guys know me, I have been saying Tagir Ulanbekov is overrated. He's not bad by any means. He's not bad. He's so overrated though. I don't know what he did to even get 11th ranked in flyweight. He was there though. He was there. He was riding off that Bruno Silva win from 5 years ago. Tagir, he looked good in the beginning of the first round, and he was getting some grappling, getting some good striking in. He was just a bigger fighter, so he's kind of asserting that presence. But as the fight continued to go on from the first round to the second round to the third round, it just slowly shifted from Tagir was winning to oh, now it's about equal. Oh, Kyoji's kind of winning now. Oh, Horiguchi's got it, and rear naked choke to win. And not only did Tagir didn't even tap out. He was fully passed out in Kyoji's arms. That was crazy. He got a performance bonus for the. Oh, by the way, Luke Riley did get a performance bonus for his fight too. But Kyoji, he got a performance bonus, reasonably so. He's going to be getting a roughly a title eliminator or like a top contender fight, in my opinion. We'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, no, it was very good, and he looks great back in the UFC. I didn't pick him originally. I honestly picked Tagir just because while I thought he's a bit mid and overrated, I still wasn't sure if, Horiguchi was going to be able to come back to the UFC after a decade and have the same feeling. Nope, he's fully back. So, with that being said, Tagir Ulanbekov, I want to see him face off against someone who's ranked lower. He needs to prove why he's even ranked in the first place. So I want to see him face Joseph Morales, who recently just got ranked. I think that'll be a very fun fight. Two grapplers. And honestly, I don't know who wins that. I'm kind of leaning... I don't know, but it's close. It's very close. And on the other hand, I want Horiguchi to face someone who has a fight in 3 weeks. Win or lose, I want to see Horiguchi versus Manel Kape. Now you might be saying, why would you want that? Like, Manel Kape's so much better. You could say that, but also, before he got to the UFC, Manel Kape fought in Rizin. He fought Kyoji Horiguchi, and he lost by submission. So Manel Kape, he's down one. He's down one on Horiguchi, and Horiguchi only needs one more fight to fight for the flyweight title. I fully believe that. And I think, Manel Kape, if he beats Royval, you could argue he gets a title shot, but maybe not, considering we got Moreno and Tyra also on the card before that. So maybe not. So he's got to fight one more person, and I think that one more person, he's going to want to get that lick back on Horiguchi. If Horiguchi wins that against Manel Kape when he's number 3, he gets a title shot. If Manel Kape loses to Brandon Royval, he'll still be in the 6th or 7th rank, in that range. Horiguchi beats him, he's still around 6, maybe 5. He gets a title shot. I think it is a mutually beneficial matchup. I think, Manel Kape wants to get that loss off his resume. And Horiguchi, he's looking for that title, baby. I think that'll be a very fun fight. And I think it's the fight to make next in March of next year. I think that'd be a great fight. And the winner gets a title shot at whoever's champion at the time, probably Pantoja. Another great performance, we had Waldo Cortes-Acosta on short notice, knocking the lights out of Shamil Gaziev. Waldo, he just fought on the 1st of this month. He's fighting again on the 22nd and knocked the lights out of Gaziev. And it's crazy because I picked Gaziev to win. If it was still Spivak, Gaziev would have won. Mark my words. But he didn't fight. He didn't fight Spivak. He fought Waldo, who's apparently goated. So it's very perplexing now because Waldo just lost to Sergey Pavlovich not too long ago, but since then he's knocked out Ante Dalia and Shamil Gaziev, who are both rising names. Did Waldo Cortes-Acosta somehow lose to Pavlovich and then go and raise past him in the rankings by the end of the year? He might have, because Pavlovich is not fighting by the end of the year again. You could fully argue that Waldo is ahead of Pavlovich now. And I would honestly say he's closer to a title shot right now than Pavlovich is, purely because he hasn't fought Tom. Pavlovich has. We've seen what happens. It's crazy. This is a crazy story, and it's kind of a similar thing to what happened with Josh Van earlier in the year, where he won a fight, turned around in the month, and won another high fight, and now he's looking at a title. What's different with WCA? I mean, there's more competition, but not by much, you know? With that being said, Shamil Gaziev, I wouldn't call it a fraud check per se because it was a short notice fight, so it's whatever. I want to see him, however, face another prospect who was smoked this year. I want to see him face Taliesin Teixeira because those are behemoths, those are monsters of men, and I think that'll be a very fun matchup. Unfortunately, similar to the Bekzat prediction that I said earlier, unfortunately, someone's stock is going to have to take a big hit after it, but it's a risk you got to take. And Shamil versus Taliesin, I mean, I guess you could do like Rizvan Kuniev, but that's just not fun. Taliesin Teixeira is a fun-ass fight, and I want to see it. On the other hand, WCA, he called for Curtis Blades on the last card of the year, the Roy Valvers Cape card. Curtis Blades is almost certainly not going to accept that fight, but I'm going to say he's not going to accept that fight, but he will accept a fight against Waldo. I think they do fight. I think that is both of their next fight, but I don't think it'll be this year. I think that'll be February, maybe January of this next year, but I think Waldo Cortes-Acosta has got a fight against Curtis Blades, and if he wins that, he fully could get a title shot over Volkov, over Pavlovich, which would be insane, but I'm so here for it. Let's go, Waldo! There was no surprises in this next matchup. We had Miktabik Orolbai absolutely folding Jack Hermansson. I don't even know why this fight came to be in the first place. We had Miktabik Orolbai, who he's a lightweight, but his last two fights were basically at welterweight because he just couldn't make weight for his life. He was facing off against Jack Hermansson, who got slimed out by Gregory Rodriguez at middleweight and decided, I'm like 37 years old. Why not for the first time in my career go to welterweight? So you got knocked the lights out, and now you're deciding to cut 15 more pounds? Horrible decision, especially against Miktabik Orolbai, who has only one loss in the UFC, and that was to Rebecki, who is a very nice fighter. It was a very foolish move from Jack Hermansson. And I don't even have much more to say about it. It was so quick that there wasn't much to talk about. So, the matchups I have for both of them, if Jack Hermansson is not retiring, which it seems like he's not, he will be retired because I have him next against Atiba Gauthier. Oh. Yeah, you're getting retired, buddy. You're going back to middleweight, and you're getting slimed out by Gauthier. And that's all you gotta say about that. Orolbai, I also want to see him retire someone, and I want to see him retire Vicente Luque. Luque, you had a alright career. I want to see Miktabik Orolbai, steal your aura. Steal your aura. Because, Joel Alvarez couldn't get it done. Miktabik Orolbai can and will against Vicente Luque in Rio. Boom! Let's get it done. Boom. This card has just been great overall. There's been tons of finishes, and this next fight, the featured fight, just does not stop. Volkan Ozdemir, in one, finishes Alonzo Menefield. It was crazy. I mean, Volkan Ozdemir, he's been solid in his career, but I didn't expect this, because, he hasn't fought in forever, and he's just not been he's a solid fighter. I wouldn't say he's a great fighter, but he's also somehow younger than Menefield. He's been in the UFC forever, but Menefield's 38. That's crazy. And it really looked like it showed because we were watching it, and, Volkan was just able to pressure Menefield back. He got to the fence, got to the cage, and Volkan just started unloading knees, straights, overhand hooks, everything, just walloping him. And then eventually Alonso went down like a sack of potatoes, and it was it was really violent and really fun. It was really nice. Alonso Menafield, I want to see him face another person who had a ranked fight race a few months ago, who's also got nuclear hands. I want to see him face the Mountain Tiger Zhang Mingyang. Winner gets to be ranked, and loser gets to fight Jimmy Crute. Essentially, that's where that match is. And I want to see Volkan Ozdemir. He called for a top 5 fight. I don't think he gets a top 5 fight. I think he gets number 6, Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill, he's on a 3-fight losing streak, I believe. And Volkan Ozdemir, if he can do what he did to Menafield, that would be beautiful. Because Jamal Hill would be slimed. And then hopefully move to heavyweight, because he's just got to go. He's just got to go. But overall, great performance from Ozdemir. And not much more to say about that. It was just great performance. Yeah. In the co-main event, oh my goodness, my guy, Ian Machado Gary, got that shit done by decision against Belal Muhammad. And boy, oh boy, was that a match. It was a really fun match. I thought there was going to be a lot more grappling, but I was saying to my friends on our podcast that I didn't think it was going to be nearly that much grappling. I thought it was a bit excessive, the things I was hearing. Belal, he can be a bit boring with the wrestling. Ian can definitely be a bit boring with his grappling too, but when you mix up two grapplers / wrestlers against each other, you honestly generally get fireworks. And this match was nothing but that. Ian was sliding those leg kicks in like crazy. He was dropping Belal too. It was great. Belal, he was showing those Canelo hands. And he looked real good. I mean, I don't really have much to say for Belal. I mean, he just looked real nice. He lost, but still looked... I mean, there's a reason he was the champion, essentially. With that being said, I want to see Belal Muhammad face Marty Usman. I think that, they've been calling for a fight against each other for probably a year now. And, Usman might get a title shot, which I'm very uncertain how I feel about that, but it probably wouldn't be a very deserved fight. So I think Usman versus Belal is much more deserved, especially now because Belal will be within a few rankings from Usman. I think that'll be a very logical fight. And the winner of that, you could argue, gets the title shot, but I don't think Usman should get it. However, someone who does deserve it, we got Ian Machado Gary. I'm not sure what Islam Makhachev's next fight will be. If it's, Ilya, if it's Kamaru, if it's Michael Morales, if it's Shavkat. There's so many potential things to happen, but I believe that Ian Gary's next fight, however long he has to wait, I think Ian Gary's next fight will be against the champion at welterweight. Hopefully it's Islam, because that'll be a really fun fight. And I think, Ian Gary sits out and waits for the title shot, and he eventually gets it. That's because Irish on top. Let's get it going, lad. And in the main event, honestly, this was not surprising at all. Arman Tsarukyan submitted Dan Hooker in the second, I believe, the second round. It was just, leading up to this fight, I was saying to my friends that I believe Dan Hooker needed one very perfect shot to get the finish, and I didn't think he was going to get it. And I'll tell you guys now, he did not get it. Arman was just not letting him get anything done in that match, and was just dominating from start to finish, really. And Dan Hooker, he was just throwing out kind of weak Dustin Poirier-esque guillotines, not great. And then Arman was just, there was one point where Arman it looked fully inverted like a caterpillar. It was crazy. As we've seen in those videos, how you can roll, and he's so good. I'm not even trying to glaze. Arman is just so good. And you know what? We'll get to that in a second. But Dan Hooker, I want him to face, I don't know, Rafael Fiziev or something. 2 former featherweights, maybe like a Holloway. I don't know, someone. Arman Tsarukyan, however, I'm so glad. As much as I represent Liverpool, I did not think Paddy Pimblett should be getting a title shot, which is why I'm so happy that finally, after half a year or so of waiting, finally the UFC has a solidified number 1 contender. And you know what is crazy? We haven't had a solid number 1 contender since Arman pulled out of the fight against Islam. The last solid number 1 contender was still Arman. It's just that Moicano had to fight him, and then all these other people just rotated in. Like, Arman, he finally reclaimed his number 1 spot, which I'm very glad about, because I just wanted to see someone deserve a title shot. Between Max, Justin, Paddy, Charles, none of them deserve it currently, for sure. So I'm finally glad we got one. That's all I really have to say about this event overall, but thank you guys for watching my UFC Qatar matchups and run through. Appreciate you guys watching. If you made it this far, give a like, give a comment, give a subscribe. I would love it. And also, follow my podcast, Decision Time, also on YouTube. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and peace.